How's it going, everybody? You have Tone here, and I am back with more Draft League content, and this is it, guys. This is a team builder for the NPA Minors Finals. The long season has ended. The playoffs are coming to their conclusion. Out of 24 teams, the main Red Clawsters are among the final 2 teams. I could not be happier about the opportunity to finally get that first championship under my belt. But this is not going to be an easy battle, as we are taking on Harris, aka Harris's awesome coach of the Atlanta Braviaries, and Harris himself has had a phenomenal season of his own. I believe he's only lost 1 time throughout the entire regular season, and he has just been an absolute menace in the playoffs, and you can tell from the team he drafted. It really speaks in volumes to how well of a battler and how well of a team, how well he preps his team that he made it to the finals himself. And he had to overcome a lot of solid people in his own right. He knocked off Ethan in the semifinals just for some clarification. And Ethan was a replacement coach, and he did solidly with the team that he took over for. So Harris is in no part an underrated battler, and not to say that I'm taking it for granted, but he is a very, very strong opponent in the league format, and this finals battle is going to be very, very difficult to prep for. And you can tell from his team that while it does look like an even matchup, his team is more or less offensively oriented, which can overwhelm my bulky offensive sort of team that has carried me all the way to the finals. So more or less, his team, as you see, the Mega Pinsir, Conkeldurr, Tapu Koko, Nidoking, the Cresselia, Hitmonlee, Serena, Houndoom, Registeel, Audinote, and Floatzel. So just going down that list, he doesn't really have much in terms of defensive Pokemon, but the defensive Pokemon he does have in his arsenal can do their job. Mainly the Cresselia. Now, I'm not saying Cresselia is an issue, but I'll be hard-pressed to try to get 6-0 like some sort of Calm Mind Cresselia, even though I know in the back of my mind Calm Mind Crest doesn't really make sense in this particular matchup because of the fact that I have a Drapion. I have some adequate Dark type of pressure that Cresselia, so my strategy was in most part making sure that I'm not over-prepping for Crest and under prepping for everything else, because whenever I see a Cresselia, I do have a tendency of over prepping for Cresselia, but I feel as though with my current team, I feel as though I have the necessary tools to not only deal with Crest, but to, in retrospect, check most of the stuff he has on his team. So just to run down what I feel as though the best 6 he would bring, I did actually end up making some sort of mock team. Well, not really a mock team, but a team as though I felt like he would bring. And I know I'm pulling up my team first. Like, sorry about that. But anyway, this is the more or less the team I expected him, or I expect him to bring some sort of variation. Now I know the EV spread, the items, and all that stuff are going to be different. But more or less, this is just my assumption of what he would bring. Mega Pinsir, first and foremost, is a scary, it's actually an immense threat to my team because my flying resists are Lantern and Aggron, and both of them gets bopped hard by Earthquake. It actually makes the most sense for him to bring Earthquake. Close combat doesn't really make any sense because the only thing it hits is my Aggron, which is weak to Earthquake, and I haven't brought Aggron at all because the matchup just hasn't been there for the most part. Like I said, the EV spreads are going to be altered compared to what Harris ends up doing. This is just some variation I put together. This is outspeeding max speed Tim Volcarona and max attack, rest and HP. Nothing really similar there. Next up is Tapu Koko, and Tapu Koko will definitely be coming for 2 reasons. One, my responses to Tapu Koko are the Tangrowth, Assault Vest variant of Tangrowth, and Lantern, which prevents from clicking Thunderbolt. And what Tangrowth and Lantern both hate is Mega Pinsir's ground flying coverage. So that helps out Tapu Koko immensely against my team. Now the moveset is gonna be a little bit different. Nature's Madness is just here just because I have a lot of bulky stuff that has access to good recovery, mainly the Clefable, U-turns, that way I can Volt Switch against my Lantern, health back with Volt Absorb, Dazzling Gleam. It's just backup coverage move. I think it's mainly for Druddigon, but Druddigon is kinda struggles in this matchup a little bit. And then Thunderbolt just for overall coverage. Expert Belt is just there to like maybe bluff a choice item he could be doing. He could be Life Orb too, more or less. The EV spread again is just like max to at least speed tie like a speed Crobat, but that's, again, I don't know his EV spread. It's just my general idea of what he might bring in terms of a move set for his team. So that's my idea of Tapu Koko. Then we get to the third Pokemon, which is Conkeldurr. Now, running calcs with him facing off against Conkeldurr, and I absolutely hated how much Guts Flame Orb Conkeldurr dicked my team. Like, if I'm not Fizz Def Tangrowth, this two-shots everything. Like, I literally have no switch-ins to Guts Flame Orb Facade boosted Conkeldurr. I'm pretty sure he could go like Stone Edge over Knockoff or something for the utility. Stone Edge mainly to hit Volcarona, but I think even if I bring like a fully Fist Dev Volcarona, I get two-shot anyway. If Stealth Rock is up, I'm definitely not taking a Facade. Max Attack, Adamant, Conkeldurr's Facade, two-shots my Clefable. Two-shots my Druddigon, and I would have the Rough Skin Rocky Helmet, and that's not really going to be helping me that much, to be honest. And then having that Guts boosted Mach Punch priority, oh my god, it's just ridiculous how much just 3 Pokemon by itself just destroys me from an offensive standpoint, and trying to prep for this was extremely difficult, not going to lie. And even worse is the fact that he can run speed investment on Conkeldurr to outspeed my bulkier Pokemon, the Clefable. I have enough speed on this outspeed uninvested Lantern, and everything's slower than that, so he doesn't really need the bulk. He just needs to have the hard-hitting Wall Breaker to break down my bulkier offensively oriented team. So I really think Conkeldurr is a very strong option. Another option I see him bringing definitely is Floatzel. Floatzel being one of the few physical attackers on his team that does not care at all about Volcarona's flame body because it has access to Water Veil, so it can't be burnt. Life Orb is just overall a good alternate way of just wearing down my team. It does weaken him a bit, puts him in range of stuff like Quick Attack from my Diggersby, Shallow Sneak by Ben Gallade. I figured Life Orb is better because of the range of options it has at its disposal. Return is just here because it's the best move it has to deal with the Lantern. Ice Punch can hit the Tangrowth, of course, but it can run Ice Beam just to get, if I'm Fizz Def Tangrowth and he picks up on that and he runs Ice Beam, it does more damage because I'm not invested in special defense. And then Aqua Jets for the priority if I get like, to pick off like weakened Volcarona or whatnot if I'm boosted. So that's an option with Floatzel. Then I have Nidoking on here. He needs to put Stealth Rock on something. I don't really feel like Registeel is the best in this particular matchup because Registeel does get pressured by Gallade, by Volcarona, a couple other stuff I have on my team, which I'm forgetting. But mainly it's Volcarona and Gallade that pressures Registeel, and I feel as though Nidoking would be a better Stealth Rocker because the combination of Sludge Wave, Earth Power, and Ice Beam just essentially two-shots everything. Sludge Wave plus Earth Power by itself just 2 KOs all my bulkier, my entire bulky team, all my bulky offense, and Ice Beam is just there to hit the Crobat. However, he could run Choice Scarf on Nidoking with like Rock Slide to get to he can run Rock Slide for Volcarona, but I feel like Ice Beam is a little bit better because Crobat does, if I bring like a bulky Crobat, it can essentially check Mega Pinsir, and I know he would try to have Ice Beam to weaken the Crobat along with Tapu Koko, so that could be something to consider. And then lastly, he would most likely bring Cresselia because he needs that Mega Gallade switch in, which does make the most sense. This is just my assumption. of what he might put on the crest. Cobra Berry, so he can take knockoffs from Gallade, Diggersby, Drapion, and whatnot. Moonblast to hit the Drapion, and then Toxic Psychic just to wear down my bulkier stuff, and Moonlight to keep itself healthy. Again, EV spread, not really the most intuitive and more the most optimal stuff. Investment in terms of what I think he would be. I tried to do some calcs in my head, but nothing really came to me in terms of like special defense investment, because even like max HP, max Spadef, Calm Nature, it still struggles with Volcarona to a degree, so he would have to Toxic it and then Moonlight stall me to a point where one of his other Pokemon can revenge kill Volcarona. So that's essentially my assumption of what team he brings, Harris brings in the matchup. So with that being said, I'm just going to break down what I built for this finals matchup, and you see my team right here. And the first Pokemon we have here, we are bringing back Volcarona. We have not brought Volcarona since week 3 of the regular season, so it's nice to use Volcarona here. It's a solid win con because of the fact that bulky Quiver Dance can actually put in a ton of work here. The combination of Bug plus Fire actually hits the entire team neutrally, so that's really, really cool. And then Cobra Berry is here because I cannot be... So I don't get Revenge Kill by Mega Pinsir's Quick Attack if I get to +1. I was going back and forth a little bit between Cobra Berry and Pasho Berry for Volcarona, so that way I'm not Revenge Kill by Floatzel. But I really had to pick my poison in terms of what I wanted, what I've seen to be the bigger issue for me to deal with. And because Floatzel can't be burned, I figured Mega Pinsir would be the more optimal threat to try to target, so I put Cobra Berry because Quick Attack does have a chance to knock me out, and then Bug Buzz Fiery Dance does the rest for my team. So the EV spread, bulky, max HP, odd numbers, so I can switch into Stealth Rock twice, max defense, and 12 speed with a Timid Nature. What the investment does, at +1, my Volcarona outspeeds his fastest Pokemon, which is Tapu Koko, and everything's slower than that. So that was the idea behind Volcarona's. It's essentially going to be my win con. It does a lot of work in practice. It did a lot of work for me in like the few theoretical simulations I had, and I feel as though it needed some extra time in the spotlight just to use it one last time. So that is my Volcarona. Then for number 2, we have our bulky Lantern back. This is my Tapu Koko, my primary Tapu Koko switching. Sorry about that. But again, this is a very straightforward support set: Scald, Volt Switch, Toxic, and Heal Bell. Toxic is necessary for me to wear down that Cresselia, Heal Bell to heal off any stats from the rest of my team, and Scald just to potentially burn stuff like the Nidoking, get some damage off on that, and it also prevents stuff like the Houndoom, not Houndoom, but it pressures stuff like Serena. I can probably stack a burn on that too. So my investment here, 68 HP, 220 defense, 220 special defense. The HP plus the special defense investment on my Lantern prevents my Lantern from being one-hit KO'd by Nidoking's Earth Power from full, assuming Nidoking is not Life Orb. If Nidoking is Life Orb, I get taken out anyway. And yeah, so I'll only try to stay in with Lantern if I absolutely have to. In terms of situation between Lantern and Nidoking, because like I said, my responses to Nidoking are not the best. I actually hardly have any responses to Nidoking at all in this matchup. So that's pretty much it for the Lantern. Its main role was just to switch into Tapu Koko, switch into mostly a special attackers like Cresselia, try to get a Toxic off on that, and that's pretty much it for the Lantern. So moving on to the next Pokemon on the team, we have our Crobat here, running a bulky set: Taunt, Toxic, Roost, and Brave Bird. Don't really need anything else. Looking at his team It's flying resist. For him, it's just the Registeel. And Cresselia, to an extent, Tapu Koko would really essentially want to be kept healthy, so I don't see Tapu Koko hard switching into a Crobat regardless. But this set is just nice for just wearing down not only just a Cresselia, but it also gives me a check to the Mega Pinsir. I kind of debated a little bit between running Taunt and Haze, but I figured Taunt would be a little bit better to prevent Crest from healing up. It prevents Rocks from Registeel if we just decide to bring it, and then Brave Bird spam is just nice in general. So my investment, max HP, running enough speed to outrun Jolly max speed Floatzel, and the rest is put into defense to better check his physical attackers, Mega Pinsir, Conkeldurr, Hitmonlee, stuff like that. So that is my Crobat. Next up we have our Clefable here, running Magic Guard, Stealth Rock, Softbow, Moonblast, and Encore. So I needed a Stealth Rocker. I didn't really like Jordagon this matchup because Tapu Koko was definitely coming, and Jordagon gets pressured immensely by physical attackers anyway, and my Nidoking. So needing something a little bit more sturdy for Rocks. Rocks is incredibly important because it chips down at his team, mainly chipping down at the Mega Pinsir. Mono Moonblast may seem a little bit awkward because I am not running Flamethrower for the Registeel, but I don't really feel like Registeel is a big enough issue for my team, so I left it off and put Encore instead. I can force stuff like Crest to go for Moonlight or Toxic or whatever the case may be. I can Encore, if I get a prediction where I can probably Encore Pinsir in the Sword Stance or something along those lines, though that wouldn't be the best ideal situation because I'm not running Unaware, but it's just here for like defensive utility, just to like Encore some certain Pokemon, but nothing really in general. So my investment, max HP, 204 defense, 44 special defense with a Calm Nature. With the 44 EVs and Calm Nature, I avoid being 2-hit KO'd by Tapu Koko's Thunderbolt and Electric Terrain, assuming it's not Life Orb. If it's Life Orb, I get 2-shot no matter what, so unfortunate for there. And then 4 attack, 4 special attack, 4 speed, because I had nowhere else to put the EVs. It also helps if he brings Adamant Conkeldurr with enough speed to speed creep uninvested Clefable. I speed creep that. So that's the general idea behind Clefable, just to get up Rock and try to spam Moonblast wherever I can. So that's Clefable. Next up, for number 5, we have our Mega Gallade, running SD3 attacks with Drain Punches and Headbutt X Scissor. Decided for X Scissor over Knockoff, mainly because I'm assuming if he does bring Cresselia, it is going to be Cobra Berry. And if he brings Cobra Berry, Knockoff won't be doing that much, so I figured X Scissor would be the better choice over Knockoff. While I do lose utility knocking off items and whatnot, I get the Scout to see which is Z Crystal and all that stuff. X Scissor also helps me deal with stuff like Serena. But outside of that, I just wanted to hit the crest harder with X Scissor. It felt like it made the most sense during when I did the calcs for Mega Gallade versus Crest. So the investment, very straightforward. Max attack, 220 speed, Jolly Nature. It's enough speed to outrun his Mega Pinsir. And the rest is put into HP. I almost did a bulkier, like bulk up Mega Gallade with Rock Slide for the Mega Pinsir, but I decided against it just because I figured Zen Headbutt would do enough, and if I'm at full HP, I believe I can take a quick attack from Mega Pinsir if he's not set up. I don't remember the calcs off the top of my head, but I think that's the case. But that more or less is my Mega Gallade. And lastly, for number 6, I brought it all season, bringing it back again. We got the Diggersby, Choice Scarf, EQ, U-turn, Fire Punch, Return. I debated Agility again, just so I could have the backup win con in case Volcarona does not get the chance to set up, but I already had 2 setup mons in mind. I figured having a choice scarf user would be a little bit better for me, even though Scarf Diggersby isn't really the best option against stuff like Crust. I at least have something to revenge kill Tapu Koko if it does get out of hand. So EQ pretty spammable if I get rid of the Crust and the Serena. U-turn for momentum. Fire Punch is here for the Registeel. Not a Registeel. It's here for the Serena. Excuse me. And Return is just a pretty spammable move in general because he does not have any Ghost types. His normal resist is just the Registeel. So yeah, that's pretty much it. EV spread. It's enough speed to outrun Tapu Koko and everything slower than that, with the Choice Scarf, max attack, and the rest in HP. So yeah, that is going to be the team builder for the finals of the NPA Minors. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is pretty much going to be the last league content for 2017. And yeah, let's hopefully come away with a win and pick up that first championship. It's been a while, but it's been a long and arduous road, but here's hoping we can do it, guys. Hope you guys are excited for the battles as we go up on Saturday. Of course, this will be going up on Friday. If you guys do enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff that goes with it. So yeah, that's gonna be it from me, guys. I'm gonna catch you guys next time, so peace out.